Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm MTA Chair and CEO Jano Lieber, here with Rich Davey, the President of New York City Transit, Senior Vice President for Buses, Frank Annacaro. I'm also thrilled to welcome a really important partner for us, the President and CEO of NYPA, the New York Power Authority, Justin Driscoll, and very special for me to be able to welcome two of my favorite elected officials, folks who really work on transit issues in addition to everything else they do, our amazing member of Congress, Nydia Velázquez, and the one and only Donovan Richards, the president of the borough, the county of Queens. Tremendous partnerships, always. Today we're celebrating an exciting milestone in our electric bus program, which is the delivery of 60 new zero-emissions buses. They're going to operate on routes in Queens, Staten Island, and Brooklyn, specifically in environmental justice and historically disadvantaged communities. I always say mass transit is the antidote to climate change. Mass transit is the antidote to climate change. And zero-emissions buses are key to our ability to improve air quality. They help reduce harmful pollutants and create better public health outcomes. Folks in these historically disadvantaged communities have struggled disproportionately with the impacts of bad air quality. We talk about it all the time, high rates of asthma, other bad health outcomes, and it's one of the reasons that we want to put these zero-emissions buses first into those historically disadvantaged communities. Now, for a few years, the MTA has been moving forward on its commitment to transition to a fully zero-emissions bus fleet by 2040. These 60 new buses, on top of those that we've already got on the road, are a major, major step in that direction. So I want to thank our partners at NYPA and Con Edison. They are helping us to source the power, so to get the power so we can run all these electric buses, and critically to build the charging infrastructure. We need to redo our bus depots, all of our facilities, in order to be able to accommodate this surge in electric buses. And the Power Authority recently finished installing 17 fast pantograph chargers at this Grand Avenue bus depot and central maintenance facility here in Queens. Another 46 are under construction across the city, and there is actually a on-street pantograph that's going to unveil pretty soon at the Williamsburg Bridge Plaza. So we're going to, while the buses are in the field doing their work, they can stop and top out electrically at that Williamsburg Bridge Plaza on-street pantograph. So there is a lot going on, a lot more to look forward to. But I have to say, none of it would be possible without our partners at USDOT and in Congress, which are led by, as I always say, our guardian angel in Washington, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, the amazing House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and Nydia Velázquez, who represents so much of the community that will benefit from these buses. And the entire New York delegation can together join forces to contribute nearly $70 million in federal funds to this project, including $20 million that came specifically from the Biden infrastructure bill. We're seeing finally, the Congresswoman and I were just talking about it, we're finally seeing that Biden infrastructure bill money surging into New York, and we can't wait to really put it to work. We've also got fantastic local partners. I always call out Donovan Richards, even when he's not present and wearing a very elegant velvet jacket. I always call him out because he's one of the guys in elected office who really gets transit, has been a partner, especially on bus issues, because Queens is all about buses, as we know. But also State Senator Mike Gianaris, the Deputy Majority Leader, State Assembly Member Juan Ardila, all great partners. So I also want to shout out the New York City Transit team, especially the bus folks. Rich, Frank, where is Sunil Nair? Sunil, and there's so many other folks who work on bus issues all day, every day. So thank you for what you do. Now with that, let me turn it over to Rich, and then we'll go on with the rest of the program. But this is exciting for us. We are surging forward with this clean infrastructure and a lot to celebrate. Rich.
Good morning, everyone. Before I get to talk about electric buses, I do want to give a shout out to the bus operators and mechanics who are hiding in the back and are working around us. They are moving New York. Thank you for everything you do. We appreciate you. Jano's right. He often says that, we have been in the business since 1904 of being the greenest game in town, of moving New Yorkers. Well, we're going to become even greener as a result of this investment and the partnership that we're surrounded with, whether it was the dollars from the Congresswoman and her colleagues and the President, to the borough president, who once again is better dressed than I am. I tried to outclass you today, and once again I failed, making sure that Queens gets the money. The bus team, Frank, Sunil, and Danny Cardoza as well, our chief mechanical officer, who's going to make sure that these new buses working around on the road. We couldn't be more proud to be here, to be unveiling it. And then, I think folks do know, we have the largest bus fleet in America, over 6,000 buses. We will be transitioning over the coming years to make sure every bus is zero emission across the city of New York. We're excited to be here. Now, people talk about buses and buying vehicles, but the catenary to making the pantograph to make sure this works and the power that is generated is as important as the vehicles themselves. We've been working incredibly closely with Justin and the New York Power Authority to make this happen over the coming years. You've been a great partner. We appreciate that. And I ask you to say a few words, Justin, please.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Jano. Good to be with you again, Frank. Congresswoman Velasquez, Borough President Richards. Great to be here today. We're very excited to be with you here today. And I think just the combination of folks up here shows that this is going to take everybody, all hands on deck. It's something that requires partnership, so the partnership between the federal government, the MTA, and the state through the Power Authority is what makes this work, because this transition is hard work. And so we're delighted to play the small role that we play at the Power Authority in making these things happen. So when it comes to moving to zero-emission transit, the MTA is well out in front. The New York Power Authority is pleased to support your ambitious conversion plans and is committed to helping the MTA reach its 100% electrification goal by 2040. Moving to electrified buses, which are zero-carbon sources of energy, will have a major impact on the health and well-being, especially in densely populated communities that often bear the brunt of pollution from public transportation. This influx of 60 new buses is a game changer for New York City, and we're now on a clear path to have all boroughs served by zero-emission buses. This transition will also help New York State achieve its bold climate goals under Governor Kathy Hochul's leadership. Standing here at Grand Avenue Depot, you can see a model for what will be happening all around the city. The Power Authority recently completed 17 overhead pantograph charges here, and if you look up, you can see how the buses can just pull up and automatically connect to the charging system. No more plugging and unplugging for this fleet of buses. These pantograph systems will make it much easier to go electric. Our on-street pantographs, which Jano mentioned, will serve buses needing to top off their batteries during their runs. The latest of these is almost complete at the Williamsburg Bridge Plaza in Brooklyn, and we have much to celebrate in marking this great progress here today. I want to thank those who are working together to get it done. As I mentioned, this is a partnership. So Nick, Matt, John from NYPA and the e-mobility team, thank you for all you do. Frank, Sunil Nair, Bart Coppola, Roger Straker, Ralston Lawrence, and the entire team from the MTA. I'd also like to acknowledge our partner, Verdec, our general contractor here, and of course, ABB, whose charging systems are installed here, and Con Edison, of course, for their continued support of this program. Thank you all for your hard work and partnership. The Power Authority is working on 46 more charging depots in East New York and Brooklyn and on Staten Island. And later this year, we begin more work in Manhattan and in the Bronx. 2 weeks ago, we just signed an agreement to move ahead with a second phase of work, as well as electric distribution upgrades with Con Edison. So I want to just thank you all again. for being with us here today. Thank you again for the partnership. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez. Congresswoman?
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a great day, not only for Queens, Brooklyn, the entire New York City, and our nation. Let me just say that people wonder, and here we are celebrating this milestone, but think about this. President Bill Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, President Trump, they all talk about the need to pass an infrastructure bill. Well, I'm very proud of my President Joe Biden because he was able to get this to the finish line. And with this act, this bipartisan infrastructure bill, we are protecting our communities, our families, our workers, and in the fight of the existential threat that represents climate change, we are here to say we are doing our part. So this is a historic day for this community. It is great to be here and know that the Grand Avenue Bus Depot and Central Maintenance Facility was one of New York City's first state-of-the-art green sustainable bus facility to open in 2007. I want to thank MTA Chair Jano Lieber, NYPA Chairman Driscoll, NYCT President David, Governor Kathy Hochul, and all the leaders who invested time and energy to make this possible. Today's event solidifies their commitment to redesign and decarbonize public transit, to protect the environment, our drivers' health, conserve energy, and offer our constituents efficient performance. Public transportation is the engine of our city, and the MTA bus fleet is the workhorse of surface transportation. It is one of the largest networks in the country and helps millions of New Yorkers get to where they need to go every day. But for too long, our public transit has come with an environmental cost, annually emitting hundreds of thousands of metric tons of carbon. Today's delivery of 60 new electric buses is a major step toward a future where our transportation system produces no emissions at all. Talk about environmental justice for underserved communities who historically has borne the brunt of environmental degradation. Our state needs bold policies and solutions to break our dependence on fossil fuels. That is why in Congress, I was proud to support the nearly $70 million in federal funds that contributed to this new fleet of buses. Thanks to funding from the bipartisan infrastructure law, we are ensuring that New York City remains the national leader in sustainable public transportation. Historically, bus routes and bus depots are disproportionately located in low and moderate income communities. The electrification of our bus fleet will help improve air quality and public health, and significantly help reverse decades of environmental degradation. This investment will also lower noise pollution and foster transit innovation in our state. These are just a few positive benefits of electrification. And by the way, maybe I forgot to mention, good paying jobs. Know that in Washington, I will continue to fight for the resources that matters to the constituents I represent and all New Yorkers. So to all the stakeholders that are here, thank you so much for the work that you've done and you will continue to do. Please, we need to approach this with a sense of urgency. The resources are there, we need to access them and get the job done for our country and our communities. And now, let me welcome our great Queens Borough President, Mr. Richards.
Well, let's give it up for our Congresswoman, delivering from D.C., and of course to Jano, Rich, Justin, Frank, Lucille, thank you all. And I guess it's appropriate for me to start this speech by saying, well, Queens get the green. And I know we've been talking about electrifying our fleet for many years, but seeing the first 60 electric MTA buses roll off this depot represents a massive victory for this agency and for our borough. And for generations, unchecked fossil fuel use has had disastrous impacts on our communities. And of course, as we often see whenever we get torrential rains, Queens is always ground zero when it comes to climate change. So I could think of no better way than to start our morning in rolling out an electric fleet here. But especially, as our Congresswoman alluded to, for the most marginalized communities, like communities in Astoria, Asma Alley, to Southeast Queens, all the way down to the Rockaways. Today, we are taking a major step in reversing that injustice. Efficient and green transportation, efficient green mass transit is the great equalizer for these communities. Electric buses means less emissions, cleaner air, and a healthier borough, period. They mean a more sustainable environment and a more resilient Queens that we can pass on to our future generations. And combined with all the green energy projects we have going on in Queens, from the Champlain Hudson Power Express to renewable Ravenswood, we're turning the borough into a global leader when it comes to renewable energy. So not only are we redesigning our bus network, we're reimagining our buses themselves. And our borough will be a better place because of it. And of course, future generations will reap the benefits of that. I want to thank the MTA for making this happen. I want to thank the Power Authority, New York Power Authority for installing the infrastructure here at the depot to make these electric buses possible. And let me just point out that this depot is getting these chargers first before other depots across our city. So we will say Queens get the electricity, and Queens is certainly charging its way into the future. Right. To everyone who made this possible, thank you for your partnership in building a cleaner, greener Queens. Thank you.
On topic.
Yeah, I have one on topic and one off topic. Buses. In terms of building out the infrastructure for charging buses, some of the riders have messaged, how can this work for the full fleet? Buses get stuck in traffic. If they're fully electrified and don't have a hybrid option, how do you protect the commute and ensure that some of these are long routes, that there's a charging ability along the way?
You just made a congestion pricing argument. I want to point out, Andrew, so thank you for that. But
So that's a good question. Primarily, most of our routes are achievable with the current technology, but as Jano mentioned earlier, chargers like at the Williamsburg Bridge Plaza will allow us to top off, in between our routes in order to make the full route achievable. Okay.
Hey, I just wanted to ask, what's the cost for electrifying the whole fleet, getting these kinds of chargers throughout the city, and also what's the progress on the the new Jamaica bus depot that's going to be all electric?
Okay, well, Ben, as you know, this is the project of fully electrifying the MTA 6,000 bus fleet is going to go on through multiple capital programs, so it doesn't make sense to just throw a number at it right now. What I can tell you is we are marching forward. The key is, do you have the ability to put in the charging infrastructure as well as buying the buses? And we're doing both. And not only are we doing both, but Rich Davey is leading a national conversation sponsored by the White House and the transit industry about how to increase the volume of electric bus production in the United States. So MTA is in the lead. It's going to be a big piece of the coming capital program. It's a big piece of what congestion pricing is going to pay for, and we are prioritizing it because we're going to get there. What was the second question? The Jamaica Bus Depot. Project is underway. We have awarded the contract. All the work that's necessary to get that project went away. We awarded the contract. We've resolved the key real estate issues, and we're well underway. That's super exciting because that project, that is a linchpin facility in a linchpin bus-dependent neighborhood, right, Borough President?
Yes.
Okay, you want to say anything else?
It is moving forward as we speak, and I'm very proud of the partnership. It took a while to get here working with the respective partners and developers, but we're moving ahead on it.
Yes, good morning. Two questions. One is there a savings between paying for the electric and the diesel, and what is that, if you know? And also, will these 60 buses, will they be out on the road immediately?
The bottom line is electric buses are more expensive than conventional diesel buses, but when you factor in the health consequences of dirty air, you start to see the real cost balancing. And so while there is more capital going to be expended in the short term, especially as the electric bus industry advances technologically, the long-term real costs and benefits to our society of having cleaner air more than offset the short-term capital issues. 60 buses, Frank.
Yeah, so by the end of the year, we'll have all 60 buses in service operating throughout the 4 depots. So currently, we have 15 buses in operation, and now these two right here. These two are the first of the 60, and they're going through the testing phase, and they're going to be deployed in service.
Hey guys, this is a nuts and bolts question for Frank and maybe Rich. Can you guys talk a little bit, you have talked in the past about the difficulties of finding buses to sort of fit the fleet's needs and how there are fewer manufacturers than you would like. I know this conversation is mostly dealt with the 60-footers, but can you talk a little bit about where that's at? Are we going to see more buses than this coming up soon? What are some of the challenges?
Yeah, I mean, it's an industry-wide challenge, right? I think Jano mentioned earlier that I participated in an industry group. Chicago, Washington, Philadelphia, all are up against, in the smaller transit systems across the United States, right? And the Congressman mentioned it. It's not just the dollars that are happening here in New York City. They're all over the country. People are trying to electrify their fleets as well. So I think one of the things we're trying to do is encourage other players, New Flyer is typically our supplier. And as you know, there's been a couple of suppliers. One went bankrupt and one went back to Canada not to do business here. But there are some other companies from Europe and other places that have this technology and this experience that are looking to come to the United States, which would be great. Again, to the Congressman's point, good paying jobs. So we'll see if we can support that. But again, this is also a 15-year transition, as you know, Evan. So we're in 2024. Our goal is to get to a zero-emission fleet by 2040. But it is a challenge for the country, not just for us.
Hi, this question is for Richard. There were several reports yesterday, or actually just one out of Boston, that you are going to be the new Massport director. Can you talk about that?
Sure. This is why I don't do social media for retired reporters. So when you retire, get better sources. I mean, no, not true. I am lucky enough to have this job, which I enjoy very much, and I do get calls from time to time because I got a great team that makes me look good. So, and I tell them that often. Talk to these guys; they're better than I.
Bad source? He had a bad source? Is that what you're saying?
What?
Following up on that question, Mr. Davey, our understanding, and by the way, I see the sign that says charging into the future. So wondering about your future, our understanding is that the Massport board meets this week on Thursday and may in fact discuss hiring you as their new leader. If that ends up happening, what is your message to the thousands of folks that you have led for the last 2 years at New York City Transit and what might be a reason that going back to Boston is...
If woulda, shoulda, coulda, might, I mean, I can't speculate on what the board does. I chaired the board 10 years ago. I can tell you what they did 10 years ago. I do not know what they're doing this week, last week, or next month.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Nice job.
You don't want this in the live stream, right?
All right, for folks watching the live stream, this is a live demonstration of the charging system.
It doesn't meet our vision.
They regenerate power like a hydro.
Are these regenerative? Yeah.
Go ahead. It's standby mode. You want me to engage it? Disengage it? I'm ready. Okay, go up. Oh, yeah. All right, I'm ready. Not yet. Okay.
Gotta be blinking blue because it's gonna record already.
For folks on the live stream, the last 4 minutes, 5 seconds was recorded B-roll material, recorded B-roll recorded earlier today. And now we're going to return you for a minute to the live scene at the Grand Avenue Depot.